all of senior year was spent bonding with my entire grade and getting closer to everyone. And prom was kind of this end of the year celebration of all of the time we've spent together.
Oh my God, everyone's so beautiful, so handsome. Everyone was really happy to be there and just happy to be with each other.
Kind of like that signifying moment transitions you from teenage years that you know, from like teen angst in high school into young adulthood.
Wow. Oh my God.
It was a black-white prom. Blacks had their prom, whites had ours. We never thought about it being separate. Nobody balked at it. Nobody screamed, oh, how dare you have separate proms? But that's how it always had been. That's the way it was. That was tradition.
We pretty much really didn't care about it too much because that was just the norm. It wasn't like a super big thing to us. As far as the teachers, you know, they wouldn't even bother to say anything about it. You know, it wasn't like it was a secret or anything. A lot of the teachers would be at their prom.
We had our prom king and queen, and we had to vote for one black, one white of each. Because since the school's been majority black, they weren't voting for any white kids, and they didn't want us to feel left out. So a bit of affirmative action for the white kids. They had a black and white prom king and queen.
Being divided into a group for any reason under any specific category is going to place certain power roles and like feelings about each group in each other's minds.
I think not being a person of color in formal wear might preserve this mindset that, you know, Black people can't be like at the top of society.
It definitely gives them a skewed point of view on the world because you're on the outside looking in the situation, like you were kept from going to this prom. Whoever was in that prom, you're going to have a whole different perception of those people the rest of your life.
I had a group of friends, and one of them was this Black kid, Walt. We always flirted with each other and were very close. In my head, because it was so forbidden, it never even occurred to me that he could possibly have any feelings for me other than just being friends. And then I found out that he was planning to ask me to prom. You know, which prom? I asked what he was thinking when he came to the prom that night, because he showed up at the white prom. I see him pull up into the parking lot through these French doors at the Elks Lodge and saw him confronted by the chaperone. And he looked up and saw me, and we made eye contact, and he turned back to the chaperones, and I ran away and didn't talk to him until like 3 years ago.
If my prom were segregated like that, I feel like for the rest of your life, you would kind of think that in some way or another, you're always going to be singled out and separated in the wrong ways.
60, however many years ago, white kids didn't want Black kids in their school, and it's because they're not comfortable with it.
Because those kids who are in the segregated proms, 9 times out of 10, the same people are saying, I see nothing wrong when they see a cop, you know, harassing a guy that looks like them on the side of the road.
Prom was not school sponsored because it was segregated. The school absolutely refused to have any part in it because they could sponsor one and not the other. I mean, there were proms, but they were considered private parties.
They fought hard to get it together with Blacks and whites to have a prom together. Mayor and a lot of other people at the school wanted a separate prom. They came with all kinds of different excuses trying to keep away from having it. Some said it would never work, that won't work. Y'all listen to different type of music. What if something happened, a fight or something?
People are really open about how racist they are, about like, you know, what if they end up dancing together? Black person and white person end up dancing together, and then there's going to be dating, and then all chaos is going to break loose. Like, they had no shame about that.
Black kids, they self-segregated. Black kids just went and did their own thing. And maybe they just wanted a better party. They probably had a better time. Maybe they just wanted better music. I don't know.
When we went to high school, that we would be the first class to have integrated prom. We knew it was an issue. We knew that it was something that we wanted to get rid of.
Everything was fine up until senior year, and that's when the parents got involved.
It's a lot of older folks pretty much kind of in control of things, and they kind of like the way the things are, pretty much stuck in old ways.
Old city with old mentality, old way of thinking.
It's just the life growing up in the rural South. People just acclimate to their environment.
We turned around and a couple of our friends were there. Our black friends, Charlotte and Jose. We just loved their dress and their tuxes. They danced a couple of songs and they left and went to their prom. And parents just had a fit. They could not believe those blacks showed up at the white prom. When they left, these other two parents were coming over to tell them to leave, and I heard them say, well, good, they're gone. They should have never been here to begin with. My mother specifically said, I can't believe those niggers showed up at your party. It was shocking what was said. It was sad. I was angry and didn't do anything about it. I was like, I'm just a 17-year-old from small town Mississippi, what can I do?
I was livid, but I didn't go. I refused to go just because it was segregated. But I didn't even attend my high school prom. That's the way I was speaking out about it. But for the majority, most people just got over it and kind of shrugged their shoulders like, oh, well, we tried.
I knew if I showed up, say, at the black prom, and it would have been, I might get my ass kicked, people would be kind of like, what the hell are you doing here? Or some pretty ghetto-ass black people that I went to school with, like real thugs, man. So maybe it was a good thing it didn't show up.
It shouldn't have been like that. As far as being in 2003, it was like 30, 40 years after Martin Luther King was killed, and it was still going on.
There was a meeting the fall of our senior year. They said that one of the parents didn't think that the prom that they had planned was good enough for her daughter. And so she wanted to create a new prom that was invitation only. When Obama became president, people had this idea that racism was over or people get rid of their racist ideologies. I don't think they do, because for decades, people have just been like, instead of talking and addressing these problems, they're like, oh, let's just ignore it. And I think because they push it to the side, they're like, okay, it's gone, and it's not until it comes back up.
So for the group who had maybe the lesser prom, they're going to think, okay, why? Like, why are we in this group worse than the kids in the other group? Why do we deserve less than them?
It's something as little as that, as like a segregated prom. That despised the people who segregated you and said you weren't good enough. That can snowball into just who knows what.
When I first heard about it, I thought the kid was joking. I heard from a student. The whole prom thing is, those are separate events that were liaisons with the school. That's how they're getting away with doing this. So they can always say, well, this is our private thing that we decided to do. And I was like, no matter how you word it, you know exactly what it is. I said, they're segregated proms and it's racist. And then on top of that, I'm from up north, and it's like, who's this kid coming down here telling us the way we're doing things is wrong? Because to them, it's normal. They're not making noise. There are no people that are thinking, hey, this is wrong. We need to do something about it.
Growing up as an African-American male, I mean, I've had tons of experience of racism. I've seen so many people just been screwed over just because of the color of their skin, which is why a lot of my white counterparts finally start to recognize the real reason behind systematic racism and white privilege, because they see they may come from the same socioeconomic background as me, but they have a fundamentally different life as me. The majority population is finally recognizing what's wrong, and change is going to be forced by the people.
A segregated prom is a more obvious example of the way that racism still exists in this country.
They just have to be told to kind of like catch up and realize, yes, that was a tradition, but so was slavery.